Hey, welcome to Gun Stuff. Today we get a chance to come out to the range and hang out with the SAR P8. We got a couple different models. So here we've got the L in stainless, and then we have the S in black. So what this is a double action, single action, 9mm pistol. So these are more combat handgun driven type pistols. They're stainless. This one's in stainless, this is in steel. Starts off with a 15 and 17 round magazines, all metal magazines. The L, I believe, comes with the 17 rounds, and the S comes with the 15 rounds. So these have a really good grip on here. Both of them come with a rubberized textured grip. Really fills up your hand. So if you're one of the people that really like a big solid grip to get a hold of on there, you got big hands, this is a gun that's going to fit you well. Has a nice high beaver tail up in here, protects your hands, keep them from getting chewed up by the slide. All the controls on these models are on the right hand or left hand side of the gun. So for the right-handed shooters, big controls, so really easy to hit, really easy to manipulate. Has a great trigger. So with the double action, single action guns, you get your single action. Of course, these guns have already been cleared. You got a single action where you can just pull the trigger this way, but then you also have the double action where you can pull it all the way from the rear. So you don't have to have the hammer in the cock position to fire it. So just in doing that, you have a heavier first trigger pull, and then the second trigger pull is much lighter. So that's one of the big benefits that we always like about the double action, single actions, is when you're shooting these, you get your hard trigger pull out of the way, and then after the gun cycles and it comes back into this position here, every successive trigger pull after that is going to be a really light, crisp trigger pull. It's going to take very little let out, and then comes right back. It's going to be, usually it's a third of what the initial trigger pull is on average. So that's one of the great things about double action, single action guns when you're looking at and you're thinking about getting them compared to striker fire or single action only or anything like that. So what makes these great combat handguns, because no matter what you do, you get the gun out, you pull it, you pull the trigger, the gun's going to go off, and of course, as long as you take the safety off. But get a hard trigger pull in the beginning that prevents you from any accidental discharges under stress, things like that. That's why a lot of police departments and military organizations a lot of times will pick a double action, single action. It prevents a lot of that accidental discharge and startle flinch response from a lot of people if they're put into disruptive environments, dangerous environments, things like that. So this gun here comes stainless frame, stainless upper, barrel, guide rod, all stainless, so this thing's going to last you a really long time. Frame is really good. This thing comes in at about 37 ounces for the long. It's going to be a little bit lighter for the short, of course. The barrel length on the long is going to be a little over 4.5 inches, and the barrel for the short is going to be a little over 3.25. So these have these really nice lightning cuts in the front here. So really gets a good grip on bringing it back. This isn't, I think these are really more for decoration and for lightening of the slide, so that way it can cycle faster. But one of the cool things about this gun and this barrel setup combo here is that it's ported. So as you're firing, you can see the two ports on top. What that's going to do on both of these guns, the short and the long, is that's going to mitigate some of that muzzle rise. So they're able to take the weight out of the slide. When you're doing this, they're able to take a lot more weight out of the slide than normal because it's not going to flip up as much. Usually when you take the weight out of the slide, the gun tends to flip up a lot more on you, but because it's compensated, it's going to be escaping that gas out of the top of the barrel, and that keeps that barrel down. So what you're going to get is very fast successive follow-up shots. So as you shoot, the gun's not going to flip up and down as much. It's going to come up a little bit, but the gas is going to keep that down. So these barrels also are crowned, have the target crown on it for more accuracy. Of course, gives more contricity. I don't know if I said that right. I might have, but it basically stops the lands and grooves at a uniform, so that way you don't have two lands and grooves on one side of the barrel a little bit longer than on the other side of the barrel, just because of the machining process. So when they crown those, stops them all right at the same place, so that they all leave the bullet and impart their pressure on the bullet at the same length. Also, that target crown prevents damage to the lands and grooves, which are the last part of the barrel that imparts any force onto the bullet. So if you drop this and you get a nick in this, if you're, combat environment, target shooting, whatever, and you hit this on something and you nick the end of this barrel, it's not going to mess with the accuracy. It's going to protect that barrel. And on top of that, on the stainless model, this looks really nice. They've got this polished up to a very high polish finish, and with this polished finish also comes, you can't really see too well with the light here, but they also have the feed ramps polished on, the feed ramp polished on here, because a polished feed ramp is it's the first thing a lot of people do when they start to shoot competition or something like that. They'll take and they'll get their Dremel tool out, or they'll just do it at home with a rag and some polishing compound, and they'll polish those feed ramps, and it aids in the speed of feeding on the rounds and prevents, sometimes you'll have some of your defensive rounds here may catch with all these little crimps and things that they have on the end of these defensive rounds. Sometimes these little things can catch, and it's a friction point that could slow the gun down just a little bit, or depending on how dirty the gun is or the design of the gun, could cause and induce some kind of malfunction. So a lot of people will polish those. So that's one of the things that's already been done on here for you. Again, so you got the light and slide, ported barrel, crowned, and then the target sights on here also. These are 3-dot combat sights, but they're adjustable. So it's not like a target sight that's all black, so that you get a nice, solid, undisturbed, simple sight picture so that way you're taking out different things for you to distract you when you're trying to take these really accurate shots. You have just a 3-dot combat sight set up here, so this will aid you in shooting a little bit faster in a combat type environment, or just trying to line up those things just to get shots onto if you're just shooting big steel or something like that. But this is adjustable for windage and elevation. So we're going to go ahead and take these things out right now. We're going to load them up. We're going to start putting some rounds downrange. All right, so we're down here at the 7-yard line. What we did this time is we got some darts marked onto the targets down there, and we've got each one labeled. We're going to shoot a couple different types of ammunition. We're going to start off with the stainless for a little bit more accuracy, just to see what kind of groups it hold. We have some defensive ammo, we have some target ammo, and then we have some bulk ammo. We're just going to shoot some different types of ammo through here, see how it digests it, 2, see what the accuracy is, and see which kind of ammo this gun likes. So we're starting off first with the Winchester Lawman 124 grain. All right. All right, so I'm shooting a 6-round group, just a little bit larger sampling size, just that way to take into account any errors or anything like that. If I throw a flyer out or something like that, just that way we got a bigger sample to go off of. So now I'm going to go ahead and keep loading up. We're going to just keep on running through different rounds. All right, Federal Hydro Shocks, 124 grain. All right, still's not going to give us as good a definition as if we're shooting paper, but we've had a lot of rain out here, and so we're just going to run off the still today. So now we're going to shoot the 150 grain Cellar and Bellet. All right, 115 grain MagTech. 115 grain Midwest ammunition. All right, so the steel was rocking a little bit, so I gotta keep my cadence down a little bit because as soon as I hit it, steel starts rocking. Of course, then the aiming point keeps moving back and forth. So if it rocks a little bit, so I'm just trying to slow it down a little bit in between shots. Let's go ahead and go down and take a look. All right, so it may not show up well on camera, but I can see impacts from each one of these. All these were, of course, freshly painted. I've labeled each one MagTech, Cellar Bellet, Midwest. And then I can see where the impacts are on all these. So out of these three groups here, I think the cellar and the bellet was placed as far as probably the smallest group. All this is just splattered off right here, but all the shots are right in this little 3-shot little area there. I got a couple up here where one of them's flied out to here and all the way over to here. So it's a little bit bigger group there, and then the same, of course, here from here to here. So the smallest group on the 115 grain stuff is going to be the cellar and bellet. And then moving over to the defensive rounds, it looks like we got a little bit better group on the Federal Hydroshock here, 124 grain. So you got the shot from here to here, and that's really about it. Everything else is right between this shot and this shot. This one here, you got a shot down here and a shot all the way up here. So a little bit bigger spread on the Winchester Lawman. 124 grain, so the Federals got it on that. So for as far as defensive ammo, I'd carry the Federal, and as far as the target range ammo, I'd be shooting the cellar and bellet on this gun. But now we're going to go ahead and we're going to load this up. We're going to shoot a little speed, we're going to shoot a little distance, and kind of mix it up from there. Here we are, we're back now at about 10 yards, scoot back just a little bit, and then we're going to run the cellar and bellet, and we're just going to start shooting some rhythm drills just to see how the gun feels trying to run it at speed. All right, feels really good. Didn't get a lot of jump out of it. So you can definitely tell the difference when you're shooting a gun with a ported barrel versus non-ported. I was expecting a lot more muzzle rise out of this, so there's a little choppiness in the beginning. So as I go, I'll be able to send a follow-up shots faster and faster, because once I get used to this thing not jumping as much as a standard pistol, then I'll settle into it. All right, so this is going to be another one of those days where we're going to be loading a lot of magazines. A little personal insight to this gun. P8, this thing's shooting like a champ, shooting great. One of the things that I wanted to point out on here also is that these things here aren't necessarily going to serve very well as far as like any type of press check slide or anything like that, because of the angle of the cuts. As you can see, these slide cuts are in there are cut in at an angle like that. So as you go to pull back, your hand just slides off of it really easy. But one of the things also that I wanted to point out, when you're shooting a gun with a ported barrel on it, if you're one of the people that like to do front press checks and things like that, this is going to heat up a lot faster than normal. So as you shoot these guns, it's venting all that gas right out onto here. So this portion here will warm up a lot faster. So you got a little bit more chance of getting a little too hot on your fingers or something like that. But one of the things that you also want to take in consideration when you're shooting a ported gun is, as you run through your drills, if you're doing any low firing from the hip or anything like that, keeping in mind that this gas gets diverted directly up. So even if you have your eye protection on, if you're practicing drills where you're coming out of the holster and doing defensive drills this way, you're going to want to take and turn that gun to the side. Okay, so that's one thing that you're going to want to concentrate on, because it may not be a natural thing, even if you do drills like this, but just these defensive drills where you're here and you're coming up to do defensive shots like this would still point up as I'm looking at the target. The gas would still divert right up underneath and blow that gas right up underneath my eye protection. So keeping that in mind when you go for your drills, come out roll it over if you're shooting a ported gun. All right, so I'm gonna go do a couple more 5-round rhythm drills on here, 5, 6-round rhythm drills, and just to get a feel for it. Ooh. Ah, that was a little faster. I wasn't, so a couple of them surprised me because of how fast it went. So I'm gonna try it again. Yep, like I said, it's gonna be a lot of load mags today. All right, and so as we always like to do here, gun stuff, we always take them out and we shoot them 50, 100 yards, stuff like that. So we're gonna go ahead and put a couple shots on the 50. All right, so right now I haven't adjusted any of the sights on here. So I'm aiming center mass and I'm hitting right about in the upper chest to throat area. So I'm gonna go ahead and aim low at the 100. All right, so I'm aiming about a foot below the target. All right, how many I got left in here? I only got 2 rounds. Let's go, I'm gonna slide over here and go out to 150. Let's see what we get. No, I might reload and redo the 100 again. Wasn't too happy with that. All right, so we load up again. We're gonna take a couple more shots. Again, 50, 100. All right. All right, go with 100. All right, so we hit it a couple times at 100. I'm gonna go ahead and step out to 150. No, not today. All right, so what we're running into right now is with the ammo that we're using, we've taken a couple shots with the pistol, and the rear sight is adjustable. So this piece right here goes up and down, and we are just flat bottomed out. So at 100 yards, I'm aiming at about a foot below the target. But at anything 50 and in, stuff like that, this sight has been more than adequate. Just once we got back to 100 is where we started running out of elevation, and it wasn't the elevation as far as the sight being able to go up. It was us being able to push the sight down. So for anybody else out there, that's an easy fix. Just unscrew this, take it, put this on a little piece of sandpaper, and rub it over the sandpaper, and that'll take a little bit of the thickness off the bottom, screw the piece back in. But we're out here just today testing guns, so we're not doing any gunsmithing, we're not making too much in the way of changes to them. So this thing is shooting great. We're gonna get the other one out real quick, we're gonna get the black one out, and we're gonna run a couple rounds through it and see how it handles. But this thing is, this is gonna be a really great gun that's gonna bridge the gap between a defensive gun in a full-on competition gun. So you've got the durability of a high-end competition gun with all this being all stainless steel. It's got really good accuracy up front. It's got the ported barrel and everything, but then it also has your safeties and your double action, single action that you need for a good combat gun, and it also comes with your higher capacity magazines. You can order these if you're in a state where you're limited on magazine capacity. Of course, you can order these in 10-round magazines, but this model we have today comes with 15s. So let's go ahead and get the other one out and shoot some rounds. All right, so we're back down here at the, this is about 8-9 yards. This is the 8S. So this is more your duty carry style. This is a steel frame as well. Everything just the same as the stainless, but this is not a stainless model. So, but this is all steel. It's still ported, has the slide cuts, things like that, but this one is just a little bit shorter. So this is going to be more of a defensive carry gun that you can carry around with you every day. It can take a beating. It's going to be able to withstand some of the punishment you're going to give it. But one of the cool things about the double action single guns in this gun here is that you can still carry this locked and loaded with the hammer back if you prefer to, like the 45s, because it has the safety. It doesn't decock when you go to put the safety on or anything like that, like some SIGs or other different models that have the decockers. So you can have this thing lock and loaded, and you can carry it with the hammer back if you want, if you prefer that way. And then when you come out, all you gotta do is just sweep the safety, but it's still gonna give you that sweet single action trigger pull that comes on these guns. So you don't have to have that full, you know, say it's 8 pounds or whatever, then the second trigger pull after it's in single action mode goes down to say 2.5, 3 pounds or something like that. So if you're wanting to avoid that and you just want to be quick on the gun, or if you want to carry it that way for a competition or something like that, then you have the adjustability to be able to do that with this. So I'm going to go ahead and run this a couple times, and we'll do some rhythm drills with it and see where we're at. All right. So I'm not used to shooting double singles on a regular basis, so those single actions are going really quick. So you're hearing me miss a bunch down there because the second shot's going off so quick. I'm just not used to it breaking that fast. So I'm not quite back up. You know, I'm not quite back down on target. So the gun's going off, and the trigger pull and everything on here is really light. It's one of those things that I'd have to train with it for a little while. But that's a great thing when it comes down, because then you'll be able to bring your shots down even faster. This is very manageable, seems like it'd be very easy to control, and yet it's still in a compact package. So we're gonna go ahead and step back and shoot it a little bit further out. All right, so we're back here about 25 yards at these two still right here, and then it's about 40 to 45 yards up to the still up on the hill. So we're just gonna do a little transition drill, go back and forth, and then engage the longer still. All right, so we got to put a bunch of rounds through this one as well. This is going to be more your defensive option out of the two. You got your long and your short here. This is going to be the one that's going to be your everyday carry. So this is going to work out well. We know we like it here, and we hope you like it. Start over again. Yeah. All right, so we got a chance to take this, put a lot of rounds through this one as well. This is going to be more your defensive option as far as the P8s. You got your long, it's going to be more your target model. Stainless, going to last a long time. This is going to be the one that you're going to want to carry around with you every day. It's going to be a little bit easier to manage without that extra little bit of length on the end of it. Grip size is about the same, but this is the one I'd probably want to carry with me on a regular basis. All the same options. But this is a great pistol. We know we like it, and we hope you like it too.